Hello and welcome to the Defiant Hijackal Teen. And boy, today do we have a show for you. Today I'm going to be interviewing Dr. Beth Halbert because she said something on last week's show that made it imperative for us to talk about it today. She said that if your teen talks back to you, you're a super parent. And I said to her, okay, next week you're going to talk about that because that just is going to rock people's world. So let's see about that. Welcome, Dr. Beth, and your answers.
Hi, Dr. Shaler. Welcome to you. I absolutely love having this forum and this place where we can go back and forth with each other. And I'm really excited to talk about this. This is my personal love and definitely sets me apart from many psychologists. So let's go. Let's rock and roll.
Yeah, well, you can see why, everyone, that this kind of shook me up. And I thought, all right, do people actually believe they're being a super parent when there's that face in front of you defying you and talking back to you and I hate you and all my friends can do this and you're unreasonable and I don't even know why you had me, and they're right there with all that stuff. So
Yeah.
give us the secret as to why you say that that makes you a super parent if they feel that free to say whatever's on their mind.
Well, so first of all, I could probably talk a blue streak on this one. And in my book, Embracing Defiance, helping your child express their unique voice while you keep your sanity. That is it's really the gist of my entire work, because I was one of those. Now, my parents may or may not agree with me, but I was one of those perfect teens, and my parents were perfect parents. I actually told my mom probably 15 years ago, I just want you to know, Mom, everything that's great about me, you get 100% credit, and anything that is still left to fix, tweak, make better, evolve, I take 100% responsibility for that. And my mom said, thank you so much. She just absolutely loved that. So if you're a teenager and you're listening to this, there's nothing a parent would rather hear than getting off the hook for everything that you're doing. And the truth is, when I talk to teens, that's what they want. They want to take accountability and responsibility for their lives. That's the downside or the upside, depending upon whichever side you're looking at it from. And legally, we as adults and parents, we have to pay the bill. So as much as the child wants this accountability, wants this responsibility, wants to so bad grow up and be an adult while at the same time being completely in your arms as a young, falling apart child, they want both, and just as you as a parent want both. And it's like, I just want my baby back. I want the one that used to love me and look into my arms. And I also want him out of my house, or I want her out of my house. And I always tell parents, okay, here's the kicker, Dr. Shaler, here's the kicker. If your child cannot speak up to you, speak in their truth, practice their voice, be their authentic self with you as the parent, get ready to raise them till they're 40.
No, thank you.
So I play with this, but I'm really serious. One of the key aspects of being able to have a voice is, if I can't practice with you, by the way, tag your it, every mom and dad out there. And if it's a daughter, in particular, moms, and if it's a son, in particular, fathers, moms actually get it both ways. They first practice on the mom, and then the men and boys practice on the dads. But if I can't practice with and on you, then I can't tell the drug dealer no. I can't tell my boyfriend or wife no. I would be pulled around by the nose. I can't tell the person I'm working for no, and I'll be working 20 to 24 hours a week at a very low rate, being an under earner. And guess who's going to pay the rest of my bills? Mom, I need $100. I can't pay my car payment. Mom, Dad, help, help, help. So if I can't tell anyone else no, again, tag, I'm coming back to you. So take it from there. What do you say about that?
Well, I certainly get the broad scope. I get that that's absolutely true. We have to raise our children to be assertive, and that's what we're talking about. And when they're learning to be assertive, and I do a lot of training of people to switch from being aggressive to being assertive, I absolutely applaud that. And
Yes.
sometimes we start out by being aggressive because we don't have the skills. So a defiant teen can be starting out saying, well, I don't know how to have a decent conversation with you, just partner to partner. So the only way that I know is to jump in and shock you, or I'm just going to stick up for myself and see what happens. So I get that.
Right.
But I also have I'm being an advocate for every parent out there that says,
Please
yeah,
do.
that's okay, but how you speak to me is the issue. Like, I'm willing
Yeah.
to talk to you about anything, but this talking back to me and in my face and using words that are down-putting and very, very
Colorful.
emotional,
Colorful.
colorful, yes. Why that? So how do we keep the assertiveness and teach them the assertiveness? I have some ideas about that too. And then keep them open to talking with us, but in a respectful way.
So again, I think one of the ways I go in the front door is by coming in the back door. And the key is, if you can't handle the truth, if you can't handle my authentic testosterone, hormone, raging, new body, don't know what the heck to do with this, growing limbs, growing parts, I am so confused. People are saying my breasts are too big, my breasts are too small, I'm too short, I'm too tall, I'm too fat, I'm too skinny. You know, my peers are doing so many things to notice all my differences and notice my parts and pieces. I'm starting to feel different feelings inside. What am I supposed to do with this irreverent, bodacious, not supposed to talk about stuff if I can't talk about it with the people that I love the most in my life? And if I can't tell you the truth, if I can't share some of these really off color, bad stuff with you, I will be sharing it with and having a peer group coach me that is about 14, 15, 16, 17 years old.
And boy, they're going to be on top of it, and their skill set's going to be just wonderful.
That's right. That's right. And their wisdom will take me into my 20s.
Yeah, maybe not. We really don't want them turning to their peers for skills, right?
And honestly, I have children. I have a child right now that I'm working with, a father that he and the son have not talked for 2 years.
Oh my. Oh my.
The child is hanging out in his room. He goes to school, actually making a pretty high grade point average.
Mm-hmm.
And when he comes home, just goes straight to his room. And they have no connection.
I think that's common.
It's extremely common.
I was the principal of a school for at-risk teenagers for 5 years. And I learned this about them. One day I just sat down, there were 18 of them in the room, and I sat down, and I don't know where the inspiration came from, but I just said to them, I want to know how many of you eat a meal with your family at the table. And it turned out, of the 18 children, the range was from there is no food, there's food in the cupboard if you want it, there's food on the stove if you come and get it, there's food on the table, come come and get it and take it to your room, to there's food on the table, come and get it and eat with us.
Right.
And on that range, there was one child out of 18 that ate one meal a week with their family.
That is amazing. And I'm not surprised at all.
No. So if those kids are allowed, if the parents have the lack of thought or the lack of assertiveness to say, we eat as a family so we can see, hear, acknowledge, and appreciate each other, that child is given the feeling that, all right, it's fine to go and isolate yourself and you get out of my hair, do what you want, and you're not going to talk back to me. And
Right.
so I understand exactly what you're saying, that this father says, well, I have a child, but I don't have a relationship with the child because he's always in his room.
And this is what I would say. It's not just what you said. Yes, and. It's not just the lack of assertiveness. It's not just the requesting, because I think many parents ask, and many parents would like that. And what the parents don't know is the children tell me they want it too, probably as much or more than the parents. But the child tells me, my parents can't handle me. I can't handle me. I know that I'm going to say something that's going to hurt them. I don't want it to slide out of my mouth, but it's like these raging thoughts and their impulse control, which does not fully develop until what, 25 plus? So this part of the brain does not stop their obnoxious thoughts.
Yeah.
And so their best way of protecting their parents is to hide out and keep themselves locked up in the rooms.
Well, there's a big issue, right? Because who would think of that approach to dissecting what's going on?
Yeah.
The idea that our child doesn't want to be with us
Right.
is the feeling that a parent gets. Now, for those of you listening, remember, I'm playing devil's advocate here because I raised 3 kids mostly by myself. So I'm asking your questions, and please feel free, if you have a question, just put \Q and then type it in the chat box, and we'll be happy to answer your question.
Yes, and I love you getting to play this role because it's priceless. There's so many parents that they want a close connection with their child, and they feel like, and they tell me and crying, my child doesn't love me anymore. It's so far from the truth. I will bet my right arm on the worst situation that the child wants connection and love from the parent as much or more than the parent wants love from the child, as much or more. But the parent many, many times can't believe that they are lovable. They can't believe that their child really wants to have dinner with them, really wants to save them, really wants to protect them. And it's like both are protecting each other. And when I ask a child, I'll say, would you rather your parent tell you no about anything and you get to be mad at them? Get to be mad at them. Or would you rather them tell you yes, and then they're angry with you, they're upset with you, they're like, I've given my life to you? 100% of the time, guess what the child says?
Yeah, I'd rather the first than the second.
Absolutely. And no parents believe that. But I've surveyed every child I've ever worked with just to make sure I'm still on track with that. And 100% of the time, 100, no matter the age, from little bit to 40-year-old, we want our parents to be in their power and take care of themselves so that we get to be in our power and take care of ourselves. And if our parents are giving our lives to you, then we know that we're not going to be safe, especially if we're a young child, because we need our parents to survive.
Right.
So if we are too much, too little, not enough, not doing it right, then we're going to go hide out and you will never know the truth.
Well, and I think too, one of the aspects of this is the stages of growth and the stages of brain development. we're born with a fairly undeveloped brain, and we gain enormous amount of information, and our brain develops a lot from 0 to 5 years old. And
Yes.
during that time, we don't have language. So the language that we have is very perfunctory and practical, but because our brain development is not there, our prefrontal lobes are not there, the centers of reason and logic and rational linear thought are not there. So we're going on our feelings a great deal, and we're going on what we've seen, how we've been imprinted in our mirror neurons. So we're talking about teenagers here who are just coming into a place of having prefrontal lobes that work, and they think they just invented rational thought. And and that rational thought sounds like, well, other people can do it. Oh, my friend's mother says yes, and therefore we can extrapolate from that if I'm the parent, not worthy. I am an aberration. And then that's when parents' backs get up and they start saying, listen here, I put food on your table and you put your feet under mine, and I'm going to play the power card.
I brought you into this world and I can take you out.
That's right. And sometimes I'm not so sure I'm happy about the first part, especially
Exactly.
when you talk to me like that.
Well, can I jump back on one of the things you just said?
Mhm.
I hear this one all the time. Children say, I was talking to a parent just the other night, and she said, my child, who's 14, says all of the parents let their children drive with the driver's permit and drive other children around. All of the other parents do it.
Right.
And if they do get stopped with the police, all of the policemen are totally okay with it, and they just let you go and give you a warning. All of the policemen.
Right. At least the one I saw did. That's really what's going on in their head.
Well, and I would say, not true. That's their wish.
Yeah.
That's the ideal, maybe even a fabricated lie. Let's go there. Maybe it's the dream. Maybe one child said, well, my mom let me do it. Maybe he was lying or she was lying.
Yeah.
Same thing with ping pong bong. Have you ever heard of that game? Well, all the parents are drinking with their kids. Why are you such a fuddy-duddy? So my answer to that would be, let's get one of those parents on the phone. I really would like to talk to them to know how they handle it. Let's just call them. Let's call them right now.
They're out today.
Exactly. So-and-so mom is fine with it. Good. Let me just talk to her. I want to hear it from her.
Yeah, that'll be great. Well, let me just interject something else to put into the mix here, Dr. Beth, which is the reason we call our show the Defiant Hijackal Teen is because teens become hijackals in some aspects. And one of the aspects of a hijackal, and for those of you who haven't heard me say this before, my book, Escaping the Hijackal Trap, is coming out this weekend. Very exciting.
Woohoo!
Yeah, woohoo, indeed. And there we go. You can find it at hijackals.com. And what a hijackal is a person who hijacks a relationship for their own purposes while relentlessly scavenging it for power, status, and control. So you can see that there is all the aspects of that in a teenager, because what you're talking about right now is one of the hallmarks of a hijackal, all or nothing thinking.
Mm-hmm.
That all my friends do it, right?
Black,
white. Absolutely black and white. And if it suits my purposes next week, I'll say none of my friends have to put up with that. Right?
Yeah, I was kidding.
Yeah. So it's really important for us to understand that this is growth stuff, and that's what I hear you talking about. Is it's growth for the parent and it's growth for the teenager. And if we don't pull a power card and try to shut them down, we are actually contributing to positive, healthy growth. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, 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 and yes. And right now, most of the world only knows black and white thinking: fight, flight, fight, flight. Either I win, you lose, or you win, I lose. Mm-hmm. And in a parent-child relationship, if we play win-lose, if anybody loses, like with your child, Dr. Shaler, if your child loses, and you win, ultimately what happens to you as a parent when you see your child in a puddle of mush losing?
Oh, well, you feel inadequate. I mean, you feel like you failed.
Yes, absolutely. And what many parents don't realize is the child feels the same way.
Mm-hmm.
A child is just as protective. You've heard of the parentified parent, the
Mm-hmm.
parentified child.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't take care of yourself and you give your life to me, you give your last nickel to me for my pair of tennis shoes, and then you're angry with me because you don't have your cup of coffee, I lose because I've hurt my parent.
Yeah.
It's both and.
Yes.
So we only know this fight flight, and there's not really much talk about it. And I know you. I can't wait to interview you about it from the adult perspective next week, and talk about what do we do with the hijackal and what do we do with this experience. And with that win lose, there has to be a whole new vocabulary, and it's going to look different than anything we've ever experienced from our own parents, who may have, given us a whooping, or completely been hands off drunk, or, who knows what the parenting was. But many of us did not get a place where we actually got to practice being our authentic self and saying, hey, Mom, I know you're a Democrat, but I'm a Republican. Hey, Mom, I know you're a Christian, but I'm an atheist. Hey, Mom, I know you believe in social welfare, but I'm like, let's whoever can get theirs first, get it. It's like, I've got to practice going against you to find out who I am. I've got to first find this real stringent line. And if you don't get attached, what you'll find out is a mini me will be right back around the corner.
Yeah, such important information. And if you want more, you certainly want to go and visit drbeth.com, because she just has gold for you, either reparenting your inner teen, or parenting the teen that you have brought into this world, or acquired through a relationship. And
if you want my book, you can get it absolutely at no charge. Go into drbeth.com and you can download the book, the ebook.
Right. So there you go. Embracing defiance. If you're brave, you'll do that. I mean, just the title is like, you want me to embrace defiance? Woohoo! But now you know why the title is there. So let me ask you another question.
Okay.
This child, obviously, piggybacking on what you just said, is trying to find their wings, trying to find their ways, trying to find their path. And this individuation process of them being separate from me as a parent, or the parent in general, takes some doing. And why do we as parents get so upset when they want to be different than us?
That is such a beautiful question. And I would say, really, we're not going to be able to embrace our child's inner voice, and embrace our child's defiance, and embrace our child's decadence, and embrace our child's blasphemous thoughts and creative, innovative thinking, until we're able to listen to our own, without having that inner, I call it the inner 7-year-old, yammering at you. What were you thinking? I can't believe you did that. What was going on there? The further I swing out as Dr. Beth, America's Teenologist, I did a video a couple of weeks ago and did some really crazy things. And about 2 days afterwards, I'm hiding under the covers thinking, oh my gosh. And my little inner 7-year-old was just giving me the business. Like, oh, that was ridiculous. You look insane. You'll never be able to be a licensed child and family psychologist with those crazy videos. So any and all of us, when we get outside of our comfort zone and we stretch outside of the norm, we have this inner critic that keeps trying to reel us back into the compliant doormat. And the more we get outside, we get scared. And teenagers do the same thing. So they're practicing on us. You're going to wear that? Really? And they want to see how you respond. Because how you respond, they're going to take that back to school, and they'll try it out on their friends. So some of the things that they're throwing at you is just their own, like you're just stupid. That's because they feel stupid. You're embarrassing me. That's because they're embarrassing themselves. Whatever is coming out of their mouths, whatever is coming out of their mouths, 99.9, I would say 100, but I'll give myself a tiny percent that might be, is really what they're saying about themselves.
Right. It's projection.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think that parents don't get enough support for understanding this. And I work with adults mostly. I have some teens and children in my practice, but I mostly work with adults because I work with the partners, the exes, and the co-workers and family members of chronically difficult people. So when you become an adult, it doesn't mean anything except that you got bigger. Like it's a stage. You were a baby, a toddler, a preschooler, a high schooler, a college student, adult, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
And so here we think we're supposed to have this adult way of being in the world, but if we haven't done our work, we are not going to be a grown-up, an emotional grown-up. So many of these parents that I see, they're tearing their hair. You see way more of them, and God bless you for doing that. They're tearing their hair because they haven't done their own work. It's chiming in to what happened in their childhood. They're reacting to that at the same time they're feeling inadequate. And the child is saying, "I hate you," and you're mean, and all these things. And it's hard in their dialogue too. So there is this two pieces of the work that need to be done. You and I have talked about it, Dr. Beth, that you need to work with the parent and the children or the teens and get that thing all tidied up. I work with the adults so that they get the past tidied up that's causing them to react to the present in the way that they are. Yes. And so when we have somebody who's being yelled at by their teen and that's saying the very things that your mother said to you that you haven't handled, there you go. There's two teenagers on the field for a little bit.
The parent has left the building. There is no adult in the building. And the one that is left is just trying not to become their mother.
That's right. And very disappointed in him or herself if they become their mother. And they hear that.
Which we inevitably, unconsciously, absolutely do, even if we are doing it in an opposite way. So if I'm trying to be completely compliant with my parent, I become them. And I love this one. If I'm being defiant, I'm also becoming them. So I tell children, I say, when you're being defiant, your parent is controlling you. They say, "No, they're not."
I'm in charge.
Absolutely. Yeah. I said, I could control you just like that. All I've got to do is say, "Don't sit down," or "Don't do your homework," or "Don't come home on time," or "Don't whatever," and I can control you into the exact opposite of what I want. Real freedom is real choice. Absolutely. And it's when you get your needs met and I get my needs met. When it's just my way or the highway, or I win at your expense, like you talk about with the hijackal, no one wins. Ultimately, no one wins. Win-lose ends up in a lose-lose.
That's right. And it's important for us to know that there's help available. If this is ringing true for you on your level of interaction with your teen, go to drbeth.com. And if it's ringing true with what's going on internally to you and where you are in life, come to hijackals.com. Or, as you pointed out, you can also go to For Relationship Help, and that's where my blog and everything is, lots of resources, and my YouTube channel connection is there. So I want to talk about strength. Where strength comes is in getting help in these situations. And I don't say that because that's how you and I make our living. I say that because I want other people to have the best life possible. And if they don't get the skills from their early life, then they need to go and get the skills now. And it's the strong people who do that. Weak people
Yes.
don't. They just are passive and they, oh, well, the world hates me and I can't figure it out and I'm nothing. But if you really want to live fully, then you need to get a full toolbox, a full set of skills. And that's probably different for many of us than the ones that were demonstrated to us when we were growing up. I mean, my mom was a hijackal of the highest order. Um, and fortunately, I got a number early on, but many people don't. And they're hurting and they're taking it in. And not to say I didn't hurt and take it in, but I caught on pretty early. But,
Yes.
you know,
It's also what made you the strength that you are.
yes, but we don't have to to stay in any stuck place with that. There are ways to get different insights, different skills, different strategies, and become who you most want to become, and to become the parent you most want to become, and be that model for the child, even when they're talking back to you. Because
Yes.
imagine the child and you having a conversation when you are an empowered, strong, clear adult.
Yes.
The
Yes.
conversation is different.
I call that in my work the power parent. And it comes from compassionate parenting, which is falling madly in love first and foremost with who you are, making peace within yourself so that you can then tolerate that little mamma jamma that you just want to strangle his little sweet pea picking soul, even though you birthed him 16 years ago. Don't do it. Stop. Wait. Give us a call. We can help and show you that you're really a super mom, a super dad, especially if they're talking back to you. Because if they're talking back to you, they're still talking.
And they're talking with you. And if you can even make that shift, if you can make, yeah, if you can make that shift that they're talking with you rather than at you, you've already started down a better path. And we do have lots of things for you. So go there. And if you don't have a hijackal in your life, just because I can't hold 3 pieces of paper, but you want some relationship help, go there. Lots of things for you. And we've opened a can of worms here. I'm sure that there are a bunch of people that want to talk about this that aren't here today, but have a question. If there's anybody here who has a question, just type it in the chat box in the bottom right corner, and we'll be happy to answer that question. Or if you have a comment to add to the conversation, please do that too.
Double dog dare ya.
We don't open our blabs to having other people take seats here because Dr. Beth and I are having an ongoing conversation, but we really want your questions, and we invite you to the conversation that way for sure. And we're only going to be on air now for another couple of minutes, so get your question in if you want us to extend that time. I think it's a fascinating conversation, Dr. Beth, that I can take a new look at myself as a super parent if I have a child, a teenager who's talking back to me. But I think I won't stay long feeling like a super parent if I don't handle it very well. If I'm just going, yeah, don't talk to me like that. Who do you think you are? You know, if I stay in that place, I won't stay in the super parent place for very long because they'll shut down.
So I have a rule for my little inner 7-year-old, and a rule that I invite other parents to take on. And that is, nobody gets to be wrong no matter what. Even if they stole a car, even if they've smoked pot, even if they've fill in the blank, gotten divorced, even, period. Nobody gets to be wrong no matter what, because we're all doing the best we can where we are in this moment. And if we can have a starting point of no blame, no shame, then it opens up the conversation. So maybe I say, shut up. Maybe I use colorful language. But if you can pat yourself on the back as a parent and say, thank God they're still talking to me. Don't take yourself so seriously. Don't take them so seriously. One dad, when his daughter said, shut up to him, his mother mouthed, tickle her. And so what the dad did, he was like, huh? Kind of like one of those Scooby-Doo movies. And he went over and he tickled the child. And the child just started laughing and they connected. Another child did something really rude to the parent, and the parent said, wow, I really get that you're having some big huge feelings. And the child later sent the mom a text and said, Mom, thank you so much for not grounding me. I thought you were going to kill me.
Yeah, I get that. And I remember my youngest son, who was 6'5" by the time he was 15, and I'm 5'5", so that was a chunk of difference. And big sports person, so he was powerful. And
Yeah.
he would like to use that shocking language, and the big FU would come across, and I would look at him and I'd wink and I'd say, honey, that's anatomically impossible. And
I love that.
and
or not going to happen, or you wish, or that's just wrong.
but
In so many ways.
it was the icebreaker. It stopped it, and we laughed. Not always. Sometimes he really had something he wanted to say further. But great conversation, Dr. Beth. So thank you for this great insight.
Thank you, Dr. Shaler. This is so much fun, and I can't wait. Next week, we are going to talk about the hijackal from the adult perspective, and I am going to get to interview you about what do we do when we get attached to one of these hijackals. They're in an adult body. Now what do we do? How about that one?
I think that's going to be fun too. And then next week after that, we'll put it all together. So until next week, join us again at the Defiant Hijackal Teen and join in the conversation. Thanks for being here.
How good can you stand it?
There's the final word from Dr. Beth. Make it a great day.